Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a very big story coming out regarding Ukraine and Israel that I'd like to share with all of you. So, take a look at this on your screen. Israel offers to send Ukraine seized Russian weapons from IDF forces. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs has proposed transferring the Russian made weapons seized by the IDF to Ukraine. The Ukrainian side is hoping for a positive decision. Okay, so apparently there was a meeting being held between Ukraine's ambassador to Israel. His name is Yevhen Kornishuk, and also Israel's deputy foreign minister, Sharon Haskell. Okay, so they were holding a meeting recently, and apparently Israel's deputy foreign minister was stating that they were willing to send a lot of the seized Russian equipment over to the Ukrainians. So this is very big, and Ukraine would be very compatible with a lot of these weapons. I'm sure they know and are familiar with a lot of these weapon systems, just like this tank that you see here on the screen. This was a Russian tank that I believe was seized from Syria as Israeli forces pushed into Syria just about a couple months back when Bashar al Assad and his regime fell in Syria. Russians got chased out. So a lot of Russian equipment got held behind or left behind. And also, a lot of the Syrian forces that are there right now took over a lot of the Russian equipment too. So, whatever the IDF was able to seize from Hezbollah and Lebanon recently and also from Syria, they're willing to send all that over. Okay. So, we're not just talking tanks, it could be all kinds of other vehicles. It could be lots of weapons like, AKs and anti tank rocket launching systems, whatever it might be. They have lots of weapons. Apparently, 3,300 or more weapons were confiscated just from Syria alone. Imagine what they got from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, because we know there was lots of weapons caches that were being stored on the border of Israel and Lebanon just prior to when Israel went in. So this is a very big story, and this could help out Ukraine a lot. And we know that Iran just recently signed a new comprehensive strategic partnership treaty with Russia. So they're going to be working more heavily military ties with Russia. We already know Russia right now is working with North Korea. They've got the same treaty set up with them. So now we've got the Israelis being willing to send lots of equipment over to Ukraine now. Okay, so I want to show you this story. I think this is a great story. We'll talk about this. And then I got a few pictures I can show you guys of some of the weapons that might be sent over to Ukraine. And then also we heard today that Herzi Halevi, the IDF chief of staff, has resigned. We talked a lot about him. He's the chief of Israel's military, and he's been a lot involved with all these attacks coming from Iran, and he's been around through all of this mess happening with Hezbollah and everything. So we'll talk about that a little bit before we close up the video. But let's hop on over here to RBC Ukraine real quick. Israel offers to hand over Russian weapons seized by IDF to Ukraine. This is coming out today, January 21st, 2025. Here's a picture of Ukraine's ambassador to Israel, Yevhen Kornishuk, and Israel's deputy foreign minister, Sharon Haskell. Okay, there's a photo of when they met recently. And it says here the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs has proposed transferring the Russian made weapons seized by the IDF to Ukraine. The Ukrainian side is hoping for a positive decision, according to the Ukrainian embassy in Israel on Facebook. As the embassy noted, Ukraine's ambassador to Israel, Yevhen Kornishuk, held a meeting with Israel's deputy foreign minister, Sharon Haskell. During the meeting, Ambassador expressed his gratitude to the deputy minister for her proposal to transfer to Ukraine Russian-made weapons seized by the IDF in Lebanon or elsewhere from Israel's enemies. It was noted that this initiative represents an important step in recognizing the common threats faced by both countries. The Ukrainian side expressed hope for a positive resolution of this matter, the diplomatic mission reports. The parties also discussed current joint challenges for Ukraine and Israel, particularly military cooperation between Iran and Russia. The ambassador emphasized that countering this threat aligns with the interests of both countries. Additionally, the ambassador and the deputy foreign minister of Israel discussed the activation of bilateral contacts at high and top levels, as well as cooperation in economic, consular, and humanitarian areas. And it says right here, Israel seized Russian weapons. On October 17th, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that during searches at Hezbollah bases, Israeli military personnel had found state-of-the-art Russian weapons. Wonder what those could be. And it says right here, moreover, on November 22nd, it became known that the IDF soldiers had discovered a Russian-made anti-tank missile system among Hezbollah militants. Okay, we know that Hezbollah was using a lot of anti-tank missile systems. Apparently, the Hezbollah was even using this just to attack ground troops, not just tanks. We heard a lot about that happening whenever Hezbollah and Israel were heavily fighting before the ceasefire took place down there. So, very big news, guys. I mean, Ukraine could be getting some pretty crazy weaponry coming from the Israelis pretty soon. So, let's go ahead and hop on over now to X just for a moment. Let me show you guys a few photos over here. So this is from Christy Johnson, breaking Russian weapons in Hezbollah's hands. The IDF uncovered massive stockpiles of Russian-made arms in Hezbollah and southern Lebanon. Up to 70% of the weapons seized from Russian stockpiles in Syria. Some were manufactured as recently as 2020. Russia claims neutrality. So this was a photo that came out a little bit a while back, November 19th. We can see here of an IDF soldier standing with all this equipment. Okay, it looks like we have some like rocket launching systems, probably for like anti-tank missiles, and then all kinds of other weapon here. It looks like a mortar kit here as well. They seized all kinds of weapons, even like AKs. Tons of different things were taken from the IDF or by the IDF from Hezbollah and also in Syria. Here's another one as well from Preston Stewart. Hezbollah weapons seized by the IDF put on display in Israel. So take a look at this. We got lots of like RPGs. Looks like I'm not sure these are like RPKs right here. Lots of different machine guns and rifles and all kinds of things that were confiscated inside of Lebanon recently. Here's some other like types like bazookas, things like that. This looks like some sort of anti-tank missile launcher as well. So I'm not sure if this is some of the sophisticated equipment they're talking about, but lots of crazy equipment was seized from Hezbollah. Imagine what is Israel going to do with this? I can't imagine that they end up using it. So it's probably better for them to just give it over to Ukraine. That way Ukraine can use it versus Israel just kind of sitting on all these weapons caches, right? So now we're going to move on to one last thing I want to show you guys real quick before we get you out of here. This is from the Jerusalem Post. IDF Chief Herzi Halevi to resign in March, cites military failure on October 7th. Halevi's resignation is keeping with promise to take responsibility for October 7th. Southern Command Yaron Finkelman follows suit. Okay, so this is IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi. We talked a lot about him, primarily, when Israel was fighting Hezbollah, and also when, Iran was attacking Israel several times with ballistic missiles. We've discussed a lot about Herzi Halevi, and we were hearing a while back too, as many times where he would come out and say that his heart was heavy or felt heavy, with extreme emotion based on what happened October 7th when they were attacked by Hamas, that it was a major strategic failure by the IDF. So he was always planning to resign at some point, and it looks like this was the right time for him to do this now that things are calmed down with Hezbollah, and there's a ceasefire with Hamas now, and then there's no attacks from Iran, at least at the moment. So I guess he found the right time to do this. So let's briefly go over this real quick. IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi on Tuesday sent a letter to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz, announcing that he would resign on March 6 after 2 years and 2 months in office, about 10 months earlier than the standard 3-year term. Halevi said he is resigning and keeping his promise since October 2023, that he would take responsibility for the October 7, 2023 failure in which Hamas invaded southern Israel. In a speech later Tuesday, Halevi called for the state inquiry to cover all the issues relating to national security that are beyond the authority and control of the IDF. Without explaining, Halevi also alluded to a possibility of other entities which could potentially probe the wider issues of the failure, including the government and any decisions of Netanyahu himself. Despite that failure, Halevi noted his and the IDF's recent successes, including against Hezbollah in Lebanon, against the Assad regime in Syria, against Iran, and in defeating Hamas's 24 battalions, as well as forcing Hamas into a hostage exchange deal, which started this week. Okay, so just want to give you a little bit of information on Herzi Halevi here, but it does look like he's going to be stepping down from his position. I think it's going to happen in March, from what I understand. So he'll be gone here pretty soon, and then somebody else will take his place. I'm sure we'll be talking about Israel again very soon, because at some point they're probably going to be trying to do something to take care of Iran or prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. So yeah, guys, just some crazy information coming out from the Middle East today. Just wanted to give you this update and let you know that it looks like Israel is going to be potentially sending lots of this Russian-made equipment that they've been gathering from Syria and also Lebanon from Hezbollah. and they're going to be sending it over to Ukraine, so that way Ukraine can use this on the battlefield, and maybe this will make a big impact in certain areas because we've been having Vladimir Zelensky complaining that they don't have enough weaponry for all their brigades. And battalions that they have set up, that they need more weaponry. So maybe this could be really good. And it should be easy for them to train on a lot of these equipment and be familiar with it. So let me know what you think about all these details down below. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.